Then. Hello there and welcome to another auto workshop video. Today I'll be making a wand as a request from a friend as a gift for a friend of a friend. This wand is inspired as a combination of 3 different wands, but the main part of it will be inspiration from Luna Lovegood's wand, which on its end has a shape of a rose. Now this shape of a rose I cannot achieve on the lathe, so for that I need to work with my hands and my file and my rasps, which we did as well with the bow tie. So first things first, we have to get this wand shaped. When I'm looking over on the side, it's because I'm looking at my phone where the drawing is. The drawing I made quite crudely in hand. I'll show it here. And as you can see from the picture, it has this nice bulbous shape on the wand handle where it needs to be shaped as a rose. But the rest of it is quite box standard wand making. So we have to shape it down, and I need to first make the tip and shape the tip the way I want it. And then I'm gonna use a new pinole, we call it in Danish, the one that guides it along, because it has a nice cup instead of a point. And the cup will allow my wand to sit nicely inside, instead of it actually making a dip inside of my wand tip, which is really rather frustrating when you're working with it, because it's so clear to see at the tip that it has this dip inside. So just scrape along with my favorite tool comes here now with my skew chisel, and the skew chisel is just such a magical thing. Using it here, it was freshly sharpened, and it's just the best when it's freshly sharpened. Just goes right through everything, and it's perfect. You really have to take care that you don't press too hard, because it'll just chew through anything. Originally I had planned on making the wand of something called tuya in Danish, which is it's in the family of pine, but it grows much slower, and we use it as hedges. But sadly, what I had wasn't dry yet. I have a large amount of tuya and blood beech that I have gotten recently, but that I have been unable to use because it's still wet. I have a lot of wood in my small improvised wood storage that is still wet, that I can't use, but hopefully in a couple of years I can do stuff with it. There is a whole apricot tree which is 50 years old just lying there drying that I really want to start using, but I have to be patient and wait. It's like any good investment, you have to be patient with it. Here is the receiver I was talking about. You can see it has a dip inside where the tip of the wand fits nicely. And from here, now I have the setup I want. I have the wand in one end inside a chuck, so it's nice and firmly grasped. The other end is now nice and secure inside the receiver, so we can just go full speed ahead and just shape on them away. I use my roughing gouge here. Sadly it's out of frame, but to get the first initial shape of the floral part of it. And double checking again with the picture and trying to lay out with my fingers where we're going and what we're doing. So switching to the skew chisel, we get the shape ever so slightly. And as always, making wands, this is my 5th or 6th wand now that I'm making. It's always about proportions. So people send me drawings. This one I have made myself, but sometimes they send me drawings and I'll have to try and figure out the proportions, because I have a rather large hand compared to, well, oftentimes it's women ordering the wands. So I have to try and figure out what size is acceptable for a wand handle, how thick should it be, how thin should it be. And when you want special features like this one where it has this cone shape and then out to another cone, so it's a double cone shape, then it's a case of, okay, how deep should I make it, and should you be able to hold it like with your full hand or just ever so gently. I've decided that here is enough, and I make the shape for myself to easily identify it when I go back and forth, so I remember to stop there. So it's not gonna be a completely delicate, tiny wand. I don't like those. If you want those, you can get one in plastic. It takes away a lot of the play from the wood. Also, it's just a vibrating hell. I have the support that I could do it, the tiny ones, but it's a hassle to make it, and it achieves nothing except for it being a tiny delicate wand that if a child gets their hands on it says and then it's gone. So instead we're doing this. The wood, by the way, is osange. Forgot to say that. In Danish we call it tone wood because it is used for musical instruments that you bang together. And it has this very nice sound. I made a set of wands where for the children they were both made in osange, because I was thinking if they were gonna be fencing with them, at least it would make a nice sound. It also means it's quite robust for hitting, which again, for something like this is quite nice because people might drop them or bang them against things, and then at least it's nice that it's a hard supported wood. Also, the color when you put on Danish oil and wax is just, it is amazing. It gets this very deep brown reddish color, and it's just to die for. So the skewer chisel is good for also more roughing work. It's a bad habit of mine that I use it like this, but it's really good at getting the dimensions right. When I make my wands, I often get the rough dimensions and get them as close to flat as possible, and I'll correct it with sandpaper afterwards. But the skewer chisel will get you really close to the final shape. As it is now, it's about 1 centimeter, 1.5, well, probably 1.5 centimeters in diameter, and that's where I like to be. Because also at a distance you can see it's a wand, and it doesn't just look like a stick in your hand. Makes all the features stand out more. Some control passes with a roughing gouge will help get the shape to final dimensions and help get it where it makes sense. Here, this detail here is to make it look like part of Genie's wand, which has these nice little ring details on the front. And to further accentuate them, I use some wire and burn it into the wood. It's a really fun technique that I've really started liking. Just simple metal wire, 2 pieces of leather, so I can actually get a good grip, and it's just full power and get the right point, and it starts burning. I can probably in the video see a little bit of smoke, and when it starts smoking, that's when it's the right point. And you just hold it there for a little while, and it just gives this nice crisp extra detail. It also helps that it's hard to get there inside these little crevices with sandpaper, but the wire will do it perfectly, so the surface in there will be smooth and nice to work with. And that was just a case of sandpaper. It's not strictly necessary, but for a wand which the person's gonna be carrying around if they're gonna be cosplaying or something else, it is nice for them to have it as a soft thing in their hand. Already now the Assange is just showing its true color and all the nice play that's in it. I have offset it a little bit so it gets more play in a way, so it isn't symmetrical, which helps a little bit with all the nice shapes and so on. So here I just go, because my tool is sharp, I just start at 180 and I go from there, and I ended up at 800 grit. Sometimes for knives and so on I go to 1000 or 1200, but for wands I end at 600 or 800. The sandpaper also helps bring out some of the colors of the wood. So if it's well polished, it'll look even nicer. So far it's looking good. I'll just pop up the picture to compare with, and we can see how well we're doing. So if we look at the wand and the drawing here, of course it's mirrored, but we'll see this nice bulbous shape and then the lines. So all in all, we're doing well. I like to first hold with the sandpaper around it while it's spinning max speed, and then work my way with the grain to get all the little lines that the sandpaper makes, because it is abrasive. And that'll give it a nice crisp look with no cutting edges from the sandpaper. And also it just gives this nice smooth feeling. All in all, the process, now it's sped up, took me about 35 minutes from 40 minutes from start to finish, which is fairly decent speed. Could probably do it faster if I didn't have to look. So for next time, for myself at least, I'll print the picture out and hang it right behind the camera so I have a place to look. Now we're at the final stages, and hopefully you guys can see that when we go with the sandpaper, the color increases more and more. It's because the fibers are being removed. And here, the Danish oil and just gives this intense coloring. And the more it stands, it'll darken a bit more and become more dark brown reddish. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little video, and yeah, that you maybe learned something, and that you have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys in part 2 of this video.